Hi, my name is Rich Woodward, and I'm the president of the College Station Association of Neighborhoods, and we're going to make a little video here to try to walk you through a survey that the city has put out to try to get input on the comprehensive plan. And I'm joined on this call by Fred Dupriest, who has been actively watching the comprehensive plan planning process and sort of has some good insights on what's going on in this. How you doing, Fred?
Howdy, howdy, everybody.
All right. So the comprehensive plan feedback survey is is at a website called Next 10. So it's planning-next10next.com, and I will share the link to that web page. But you should be able to see that here on the screen, and the survey has, if we scroll down here, you'll see that there are three main parts to the survey. So, so Fred, what do you think the city is trying to accomplish in this survey?
The city does a really good job of trying to get public input on just virtually everything they do. And they have kind of a process that they go through that's similar with each new ordinance or issue. The staff does a lot of research. They review it with city leadership to make sure they're in the right ballpark. They usually get some directive. They go back and do some more. And at some point, city leadership and staff are ready to go out to the public and say, okay, well, what do you think? And that's where we are on the 10-year update for the comprehensive plan, at least on the parts of the plan that relate to how some of the big land use decisions are going to be made. The staff is also working with something of a citizens committee, the Comprehensive Plan Evaluation Committee, or CPEC. It's got a few P&Z members on, a few council members, but then a number of citizens. They've been reviewing this with them as well. So part of what they're doing here is also collecting information for CPEC to write a report out to city leadership. And the citizen input to this is extremely important. This is a kind of a complicated survey and it takes some work, but it's certainly worth providing your input on some of the areas that they're talking about here. And that's what will happen with it.
Great. So so as you can see that there's three main parts. Let's look at part one. So Fred, what's going on in part one? What are they trying to accomplish here?
Well, I think part one, much of it is related to some changes in definitions.
And so the definitions, we could see those if we click on this, this link here, right?
They're called categories.
Okay.
When we're talking land use, we talk about categories. And so they've developed some different kinds of categories of land use. The land use plan is the city's future vision for every single property in College Station, including your house. And most of them don't change from, decade to decade. But what they're doing with that plan is signaling homeowners, investors, people who are trying to move the city forward, here's where we want to go. Here's where we want to grow, or here's how we want things to change. So what they're seeing is that the uses, the business uses, the residential uses that people want are changing. So they've developed some new kinds of categories of things mixed together that they think people want. And that's what they're describing here under that button.
I see. Okay, so when we get back then to the themes that we're supposed to be evaluating, we're given a couple of different options here. One with a lot of brown and one with a lot of beige. Sort of the big difference being whether they're urban mixed or neighborhood center. And then we have we're told to say, I generally support this change or do not support this change, or no opinion. I mean, what should people know about how to make a decision in terms of which one they should weigh in on?
Well, the current plan says that this should be urban mixed use. Now you have to go see what the definition of that is. And then the new name, basically, very similar kind of thing, is the neighborhood center.
Yeah.
Yep. But actually what goes in a neighborhood center is slightly different than what used to be in mixed use. So go back to that button we just left, kind of take a look at what's in a neighborhood center.
Oh,
And
I'm losing it there. Oh,
in a familiar
where is
set.
it? I'm sorry. Too much going on. All right, one more
There
time.
it is. There you go.
Okay. I thought it was already open. So neighborhood center is down here a little bit. It's the second one. And so this is like apartments and coffee shops and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
This looks pretty neat. Is it? What do you think about this?
It's Hoboken, New York, right? Well, so the caution here for everyone that's thinking about this is, first of all, it's probably maybe kind of in the right direction, but realize that a land use plan, what you do with that can be anything described within that plan. So if they say it can be a mixture of apartments, commercial, neighborhood commercial, and maybe offices, actually the use doesn't change. It's just a future what I want. But what happens now is that when an investor comes in and says, okay, you said you wanted this, I'm proposing that, that's when the actual zoning change happens.
I see.
And they can ask for anything within that use. So while you're envisioning these pictures right here, they may say, I want all of this to be apartments. And by the way, I've already bought it and designed it. And
Okay.
the city's going to be very inclined to say, well, you know, okay, it's great. You're doing something with it. It'll all be apartments. So that's kind of the problem we've had with land use. Land use, as we put more and more things under one definition, we have less and less idea what it's really going to be. And in College Station so far, these mixed kind of commercial uses like Wolf Pen and some areas haven't worked extremely well as far as making money.
I see.
So they're tending to end up as apartments. I'm not saying that's going to happen everywhere,
Right.
but I'm saying if you're doing this, just be thoughtful about that and what could happen here. It could all be just one of those things under there, or it might be a mix of them.
I see. So people should indicate in their comments some of those concerns, maybe.
That would be a good thought. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So let's.
the comment box is extremely important because otherwise there's not really a choice on these because they're going to change the names and they're probably going to change to what they're saying. How you shape that is in your comment box.
All right, so let's move on to evaluating scenarios. This seems to me like it's sort of the meat of the survey because they've got 6 specific areas that they want people to give feedback on, and they've got really specific changes that they're looking at, and they sort of want you to say, okay, do you like A, B, or C on each of those? And you can see that all of those in this map here, we can see that all of those are fairly towards the center of town. We got here's campus, and so these are 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all right around, and 2 and 1 are right over by Post Oak Mall. So these are sort of the close ones. But I think and I think everybody should look at all of these if they can. I mean, if they've got an opinion on them. But you're particularly concerned about the option 6 here, right, Fred?
Yeah, it's different than the others. Rich, can you go back? Can you go back a step to that other map where we see all six?
Yep.
And put your hand right in the middle of the university there. So obviously that's Texas Avenue. If you look at 3 and 4, those areas are already commercial. Okay. And what they're saying is, they're a little old and tired, and let's encourage people to redevelop that. They're not really changing much what's happening there. It's still going to be commercial, maybe some different forms of it. Post Oak Mall, if you put your hand over on that, of course, we all know, have a pretty strong sense that something different needs to happen there. No controversy there. If you come down to 5, that's called West Park Neighborhood, and that's already has a redevelopment plan. The rules said it couldn't happen until they put the underpass, the George Bush underpass under Welborn. And we've been hung up for years waiting for that to happen because it's going to change the traffic so much in 5 that we can't figure out what to do there until they do. 5 is already destined for certain kinds of redevelopment, and what they're proposing isn't vastly different. We're just going to continue to sit here and wait for that exchange to happen. But it is going to be kind of the commercial neighborhood center for the southern area of the campus, if according to the plan. 6 is where we have more controversy. The others are commercial. They're going to stay commercial. They're going to be more commercial. 6 is solidly residential. arts, schools, or churches.
All right, so can I pop down here to 6 then to sort of look at that?
Yeah.
So we have, so there's sort of three scenarios that they're asked. Scenario A is existing development. B is anticipated development. And C is an alternative development strategy that the city is proposing. Now, if I look at this, Fred, I look at A, B, and C, and I'm like, doesn't look all that different to me. What do we need to be looking at here?
Well, whether it's Area 6 or any of the other areas that folks are looking at, they have the same method here. The existing development, if you'd click on that, back to that button up the top there, that is what's there right now. All of that green is residential. The blue is the schools. There are actually 3 schools and a child learning center in that turquoise area. At the far right end, you've got the business center out on Texas, and then a row of apartments behind it. That's what's there right now. So in each scenario, they're telling you, here's what exists. If you click the next button, they're saying anticipated means what will exist if we do nothing. We think if we don't do as a city anything at all, this is what will exist in the future. And what you see they're saying there is that nothing changes.
Right. I looked at this. It took me a while to see the difference. There's a couple of tiny little gray areas that are undeveloped, and they're saying, oh, those are going to be developed. That's the anticipated future.
Yeah, but they turn green, so it's an empty lot, and somebody's going to put a house
exactly.
on it. It's not really a change in use.
Right.
Well, at least I think that's right. So the next button, though, is alternative. What if something different happened? What might it be? And this is what they're really asking. Well, it's one thing they're asking for feedback on. Area 1 there to the left end is George Bush Drive, the first row of lots off George Bush Drive, and in College Park. And Area 2 down in Redmond Terrace is the first row of houses off on George Bush Drive. And so they're saying in Zone 1 in College Park, we think that you could put a neighborhood center there, or would you consider putting a neighborhood center there? And then Zone 2, they're really envisioning tearing those houses down and somebody buying them all, tearing them down and making brownstones. So when you go to the thing to be cautious with here, and what's concerning about this is that they're kind of suggesting those are the only 2 things that are being considered. But when you get to the end of this, they're going to say, all of this area is on the table. What do you want to do? It's a pretty open-ended deal. And it's not just those 2 little areas that they're wanting to focus everybody's eyes on. Big developers, and I mean very large Houston, Dallas, Austin developers are going to look at that map and say, I want to put giant things in there.
So are you saying, Fred, that this area here is all green and all green in the alternative scenario, this could end up being brown as can be?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, so what I think is that, that's about 3 to 5 rows of houses deep all down the length of Bush. So what they're really saying is, hey, does anybody out there want to turn all of this to commercial? And they're soliciting input on that. And so, and it's not real obvious the way they're seeking input. It makes it look like they're asking you if you want to do those 2 little areas, but neither of the area makes any sense. The taxes on the property here are so great. They're appraised at about, all these houses sit on land that's appraised at about $1.1 million per acre. The average tax of actual commercial properties out on Bush is only about $750,000 per acre. So it's hard to propose something, do the math, and then have it even make any financial sense on those 2 little areas that they proposed. What you can do is something massive. You can turn south side into Northgate, and now you can make money. And that's the concern. Citizens need to be aware that that's not a likely thing necessarily. And the current city council is very I think they have a very realistic understanding of how critical this area is to our whole city. It's our historic park, and it's the face of A&M on game day and every ring day and every other day. We don't see the University of Houston. We see a city that cares about its trees, its 100-year-old trees, its historic neighborhoods, and its people. And it's kind of unique. It brings that unique element. So I don't think the current city leadership is real attracted to this, but these decisions won't be finalized until next year, and we have a November election. So we probably need a pretty strong voice here. And currently,
so
we need
getting to the voice. So you click on this last button. It says feedback. So you're thinking people should probably say anticipated
existing,
scenario, and anticipated scenario is the one that they like, right?
I would say existing development, what's there right now,
Okay.
is what I hope people will choose. And then, are there any of these, existing's fine. And then in the box, say, explain, if you agree with, me, explain why you think we don't want Southside to look like Northgate. Now, at the end of this, we'll throw up a slide, Rich, that provides some links to the CSAN site with some other documents that can give you quite a bit more detail on what's going on in Southside. And there are many kind of interesting things that I think voters should be aware of, and reasons why we don't want to let push this rock off the top of the hill. Even one row of commercial businesses in College Park violates the deed restrictions. It breaks the deeds on the whole area, and now they're having to defend themselves in court. There's a lot of things going on here, and that detail will be in some of those links at the end.
Okay, so then the last part of the survey is section 3 that hopefully I'll be able to get back to here, where people are asked to tell them a little bit about themselves. This is fairly straightforward stuff. How'd you find out about it? Did you participate online, et cetera? So so a lot of sort of basic information that they're asking for from you. So
I would just comment that you don't have to do any of these sections except what you want to do. The site's set up pretty well. If you only want to comment on Bush Corridor Scenario 6, you can just go straight down to that and comment, and it'll probably take you 10 minutes.
Good point. Good point. We will, wherever we post this this video, will include all this information too outside of the video so that people can get to it very easily. So.
Okay, very good.
All right. This has been Rich Woodward and Fred Dupriest talking about the survey being carried out by the City of College Station. For more information, you can visit our website at csantx.org, and the link to the city's website where you can complete the survey is available on the screen. Thanks very much.